My name is Lena Hart, and I'm 32 years old. Most nights, my world smells like garlic and burnt sugar. The bistro hisses itself to sleep around midnight, and I climb the narrow stairs to my crooked window apartment with a prepless brain and a body that's learned to move before it thinks. I'm the one who books tables, fixes ovens, labels spices, and keeps a shoebox of receipts because paper is calmer than people. People, especially my people, prefer improvisation and guilt. 2 days before the family vacation I planned for a year, I walked into my mother's kitchen and saw open suitcases gleaming like shells on the tile. Sunscreen, sandals, brand new hats stamped with a resort logo. The kettle screamed. Liv laughed at something on her phone, her nails tapping out a rhythm that sounded suspiciously like victory. "I'm doing breakfast burritos for the road," I said, setting a carton of eggs on the counter. "Mild or spicy?" Liv didn't look up. "Why are you here?" "Because we leave in 48 hours. And because your fridge is empty." Mom glanced over, smile thinning to the line she saves for me. "Lena, we talked about this. Don't make a scene." A scene. The drawer where foil should be was stuffed with sunglasses, tags still attached. I stared at the overflow of plastic confidence and said gently, "I booked the villa, the flights, the van." Liv shrugged. "You booked it with our money too. Group effort." "Liv," I said, "I covered the deposit, the flights, the van, the activities. You sent me $20 labeled, what was it, vibes?" She rolled her eyes and slid her phone across the counter like she was dealing a card. The group chat glowed. Old messages, new ones. In the scroll, I caught my own texts. Flight confirmations, packing list, airport time. Each met with an emoji parade and silence where payments should have been. Mom's voice cut through, lemon bright. "Honestly, we don't care. This trip will actually be better without you." I felt time stretch. Oil shimmered in the burrito pan. My hands whisked, poured, folded, while something behind my ribs went very, very still. I turned off the flame and slid the pan aside. "Okay," I said. It tasted like metal. "Good," Mom said, reaching for a beach tote. "Don't make this about you." I stepped into the doorway. The kitchen hummed, the fridge, the kettle, the faint rattle of spoons. Outside, a car chirped and fell silent. I said evenly, "We'll see." Liv tilted her brows. "We'll see what?" I didn't answer. I left the eggs on the counter, let the screen door close behind me, and listened to my own breathing until it matched the heat ticking off the porch rail. My phone buzzed. Group chat. "Mom, don't sulk. Your attitude ruins everything." Liv, "OMG, stop being weird. Bring snacks and don't talk budgets on vacation." I typed, deleted, typed again. Settled on, "Where's my passport?" 3 dots came and went like someone playing cat and mouse with air. Then a photo bloomed on the thread. My passport. Navy cover, half tucked under a stack of resort hats on Mom's counter. Liv drew a heart around it and captioned, "Oops, I hid it. My bad." My fingertips went cold. "Where is it, Liv?" "Chill." She added a sunglasses selfie, tongue out. "You can get it when we head to the airport. Keeps the vibes clean." Mom sent a thumbs up. I stared until the screen dimmed, woke it, stared again. Then I called. Liv didn't answer. Mom did, not even a hello. "If you start drama about a booklet, we're leaving without you." "It's not a booklet," I said. "It's my passport." "Same difference," she said, her voice bright like picking wallpaper. "Stop controlling everything. Give it back." "Honestly," Mom said, and I could hear her smile. "We don't care. This trip will actually be better without you." The call clicked off. I sat in my car with the door open and the heat pressing against my shins. Across the street, a delivery truck beeped while backing up. A cloud slipped behind power lines. Something inside me clicked too. Not rage, not grief. A switch. At the bistro that night, I burned 2 steaks. My Sue pushed a glass of water into my hand, like I was the thing in danger of overcooking. After service, I took out the shoebox, receipts for everything from the villa deposit to the activity bands, and did the math. $14,060. My pen underlined it twice as if it had a mind of its own. Flights for me, plus 3 one-ways for them, because we'll reimburse turned into Friday, then next Friday, then nothing. Van, mine. Groceries fund, mine. All of it already paid. I photographed every slip, saved PDFs, dropped copies into a folder called Truth. Back home, I opened the drawer where my documents live, leases, spare keys, and pulled the passport envelope. Empty. Just the faint rectangle where a book used to be. I laughed once, a dry sound that didn't feel like me. Then I stopped laughing and made a list. When I set the pen down, another message lit my phone. Noah, my boyfriend, 29, kind when it counts, had texted earlier, "How's prep for the trip? Need me to run errands?" I typed, "Change of plans." "Call?" He picked up on the first ring. "Hey, chef, what happened?" "Liv hid my passport," I said, voice steady from practice. "Mom told me the trip will be better without me." Silence, then a soft curse I'd never heard from him. "Tell me what you need." "Tomorrow," I said, and my voice surprised me with how calm it was. "I'm changing the locks." He didn't ask why, like I needed a permission slip. He asked, "Do you have someone you trust?" "I do." "Then I'll bring coffee," he said, "and stay out of the way." Before we hung up, Noah added, careful, "Liv said a friend could grease wheels at the villa if anything went wrong." A name came up, Cassie, and I should have told you. She's my ex. Through the open window, the city's breath brushed my curtains. Somewhere below, a couple laughed like a coin tossed into a glass. "Does Cassie work for the resort?" I asked. "High-end hospitality," he said. "But there are policies, even if she wanted to help. She can't check them in without the primary guest," I finished. I could already hear the script unfolding. "Good." "Lena!" "It's okay," I said, and I meant only that I'd heard him. The rest would sort itself where policy meets choice. I muted the group chat, placed the receipts in neat stacks, and set my alarm for early. On my fridge, a whiteboard caught the kitchen light. Prep. AM. I uncapped a marker and wrote a single line under it, the tidiest recipe I've ever learned to follow. Protect the things that are mine. I slept hard. When morning arrived, I would not beg for a booklet to buy my own place in a family photo. I would secure the house that carries my name, and I would return keys to the only person who has ever earned them. The kettle in my mother's kitchen could scream. I had found my quiet. It sounded like a lock turning. By dawn, the city still smelled like last night's rain, metallic, faintly burnt. I stood in front of my mother's porch with a man named Earl, the locksmith who eats fries with mayonnaise and never asks questions. He looked at the folder tucked under my arm. "You sure you want to do this, Lena?" "Positive," I said. "It's not revenge. It's paperwork catching up." Inside that manila folder was everything. The deed, the refinance agreement, the property tax bills, proof that the house wasn't theirs, hadn't been for 2 years. When Mom nearly lost it to foreclosure, I'd signed my name to keep her roof from vanishing. She'd promised to pay me back. She never did. But I didn't want repayment. I just wanted respect. Earl glanced toward the curtained windows. "Rough situation." "Long overdue one," I said. He nodded once, then cracked the front and side locks open with quiet clicks that sounded almost like mercy. By mid-morning, the house smelled of lemon cleaner and paper ink. I boxed what was mine, the espresso machine, the stand mixer, a few framed photos that Liv had borrowed for content. I left their things untouched. Every box I moved, I photographed. Every key I collected, I labeled. Aunt May watched from across the street, bathrobe tied like armor. When I handed her a small envelope, she raised a brow. "Keys?" she asked. "And instructions. You're Switzerland now." She chuckled. "Darling, I've been neutral since '92. Back inside, I pinned a note to the fridge. New locks installed. New keys with Aunt May. Mail held at post office. Tenancy agreements on the counter. Below that, a postscript. Boundaries aren't betrayal. They're maintenance. At noon, I messaged Mom and Liv in the family chat. Me. Good. Liv. Good what? Me. Good that the trip will be better without me. Mom. Finally, you're being reasonable. Me. One more thing. Return my passport today. A few minutes later, Liv sent a selfie in sunglasses, tongue out, captioned, "Come and get it." So I did, but not for the reason she thought. By 2, the locksmith was gone. Aunt May had the spare, and the property manager I'd hired, Trina, precise and unflappable, stood in my hallway flipping through paperwork. Rent due on the 1st, utilities separate, late fee clause. "You're serious about this?" "I'm serious about peace," I said. Trina slid her pen behind her ear. Good kind of serious. When the final signature dried, I opened the family group chat again and dropped screenshots of every receipt, every ticket, every payment confirmation. The captions were short. Trip cost $14,062. Amount paid by me, $11,084. I'm not asking for it back. I'm telling you the truth. A pause, then chaos. Liv, you're unhinged. Mom, you can't change the locks. This is my house. Me, it's my house. Title attached. Mail on hold. Keys with Aunt May. The thread went silent. Noah arrived that evening carrying 2 coffees and a box of croissants. So, I brought emotional carbs, he said, half grinning. I exhaled, tension loosening in my shoulders. Perfect timing. I have officially turned into my own landlord. He looked around at the labeled boxes, the deed on the counter, the printed notices taped with neat symmetry. You're calm. I ran out of panic, I said. All that's left is order. Noah leaned against the doorway. Liv mentioned Cassie called her this morning. Tried to fix things with the resort. I didn't even know she'd still have my ex's number. Cassie, the hospitality contact? I asked, voice steady. He nodded. Yeah, she told Liv no exceptions. Policy's policy. I thought you'd want to know. Good, I said, sipping the lukewarm coffee. That means the universe still has rules. He studied me for a long second. You sure you're okay? I thought of my mother's voice. Don't make this about you. I thought of Liv's heart drawn around my passport. Then I thought of the lock clicking into place. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm finished. That night, I set the spare keys beside the tenancy contracts and wrote one last reminder to myself on a sticky note before bed. You don't have to be their guarantee anymore. The next morning, the house was quiet. Not peaceful yet, but clean. Outside, a single line of sunlight crawled across the porch railing like it was marking something newly claimed. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise out of habit. My body expected the chaos of departure day. Group chat pings, last-minute packing photos, moms, where's the boarding pass, texts. Instead, my phone sat silent. When I finally looked, there it was, a photo from Liv at the airport, captioned, Manifesting Peace. Her sunglasses reflected check-in lines. Behind her, Mom argued with a gate agent, her posture pure entitlement. I watched the image without flinching. Then I made breakfast for 1 and opened the restaurant at 8. By 10, the calls started. Mom first, sharp and breathless. The car rental desk won't give me the van. They say the reservation is under your name. Fix it. Can't, I said, flipping a pan. Primary driver policy. Then transfer it. I can't. It's prepaid. Her breath hissed. Lena, stop being cruel. I'm being finished, I said, and hung up. Next came Liv. The villa says we can't check in without you. Just email them. I did. I told them to release the remaining nights per cancellation policy. She shrieked, You're unbelievable! Actually, I said, I'm documented. After that, silence again. 3 hours later, a small refund notification landed in my inbox. Partial reimbursement for the villa. I smiled. That money went straight into paying the house insurance I'd let slide while funding their family reset. That night at the bistro, the rhythm returned. Prep list, service, quiet hum of the exhaust fan. My Sue caught me smiling over the simmering sauce. What's up? He asked. I'm cooking for myself again, I said. Later, as I wiped down the counters, Noah appeared at the door. Mind if I help you close? You don't have to, I said. He shrugged. I like watching you calm the chaos. We worked in silence until my phone buzzed again. Liv's latest post, her by a pool, captioned, Some people can't handle your light. Protect your energy. Underneath, Cassie, yes, that Cassie, had commented with a polite emoji and the words, Hope the trip improves. Noah groaned softly. She wasn't supposed to get dragged into this. It's fine, I said. Liv weaponizes connection. Cassie's just a new prop. He hesitated. I should have told you sooner about Cassie helping them book. I didn't realize Liv reached out again. Why would you? I said, rinsing the cloth. You warned me she works in hospitality. I knew Liv would try. Cassie just reminded her. Rules are rules. He studied me. You're not mad? I'm tired, Noah. There's a difference. He took the rag from my hand. Then let's go for air. Outside, the alley smelled of basil and rain. We sat on milk crates, shoulders touching. Noah said quietly, When you told me you were changing the locks, I was scared you'd harden completely. I didn't, I said. I just stopped leaking. He nodded. There's a word for that. Boundaries. Feels like breathing, I replied. 2 days later, Aunt May called, voice gleeful. Your mother's telling everyone you stranded her in a foreign land. I told her maybe God wanted her to practice humility. I nearly dropped the phone, laughing. You didn't. Oh, I did. Then I hung up and baked a pie. Want a slice? That night, while spooning sauce into jars, a message blinked from an unknown number. Hey, it's Theo. Saw the Villa Saga. For what it's worth, I remember you paying for my prom suit when Mom couldn't. You didn't make it a thing. You just did it. You're not the villain. I stared at that text for a long minute, something uncoiling behind my ribs. Then I wrote back. Thanks. Just trying to learn the art of stopping before I break. The next few days unfolded quietly. The bistro smelled of tomatoes and thyme. I fixed the oven gasket that had been whistling since spring. I raised my line cook's pay by $1, using the money I'd stopped bleeding. Aunt May dropped by with that pie she'd mentioned, peach crumble, slightly burnt at the edges. Sweetheart, she said, handing me a fork. You look lighter. I changed the locks, I said. About time. She smiled, approving, like I'd passed an exam. Your mother can learn boundaries too. Maybe. Or maybe she'll just learn you're not a doormat, she said. Either way, progress. 3 days later, another post from Liv appeared, this time a sunset captioned, with a Bible verse about forgiveness, underlined in bold. I didn't reply. I stirred the sauce until it glowed. By the end of the week, the refund had cleared, the kitchen gleamed, and my shoulders felt several pounds lighter. I wrote one last list on my fridge. Rent agreement signed, house insured, locks changed, family vacation canceled by destiny. Then I added, just for myself, lesson. You can feed people without letting them starve you. That night, as I turned off the lights, my phone buzzed once more. It was Noah. Dinner tomorrow? My treat. Somewhere with no Wi-Fi and no group chats. I smiled, typed back, perfect. The city outside purred, content and ordinary. For the first time in years, my life sounded like its own heartbeat instead of someone else's alarm. They came back at 2:17 a.m. I know because Aunt May texted, they're here, I'm in my robe, popcorn ready. At 2:19, my phone started ringing. By 2:22, the pounding on my door sounded like a storm begging for shelter. I walked downstairs barefoot, the floor cool under my feet, and opened the door. Mom stood there in a resort sweatshirt and exhaustion-colored face. Liv hovered behind her with flamingo print tote and the same sunglasses she'd bought for vibes. Their tans looked uneven, their smiles long dead. Open the house, Mom said, not even a greeting. It is open, I said. For people with keys. Aunt May has them. Liv shoved forward. You're sick. You stranded your own family. You took my passport, I said evenly. I was safeguarding the vibes, she shot back, perfectly serious. I stepped aside and gestured to the kitchen counter where 2 neatly stacked tenancy agreements waited under a lamp's glow. Keys after you sign 2 copies. Read before signing. Mom snatched a paper, scanned the first line, and scoffed. Rent? You expect me to pay rent in my own house? It's my house, I said, sliding the deed toward her. Has been for 2 years. She looked down, then up. You tricked me. No, I said softly. I protected you. You just didn't notice who was carrying the cost. Liv leaned in, tapping the paper with a nail, painted a desperate shade of coral. Late fees? Are you kidding? I'm serious about dates, I said, and about boundaries. Mom dropped the page like it burned. We're not signing anything tonight. Then you can stay at a hotel tonight, I said. Aunt May can call you in the morning. Liv gave a laugh with no humor. You think you're a landlord now? I think I'm done being a wallet. The air between us pulsed with heat and disbelief. Mom's eyes shone, not with tears, but with the stunned rage of someone who'd lost an audience. They left in a flurry of words I won't repeat. Tires shrieked. Headlights swept the walls. Silence followed like relief itself. Upstairs, I plated leftover lasagna, cold from the fridge, and ate standing by the window. It tasted of salt, basil, and peace. The next afternoon, Aunt May sent a photo, 2 signatures, 2 keys, captioned, Adulting Achieved. A week passed, then another. Mom paid the first month's rent late, the second one on time. Liv started bringing home actual pay stubs from her new job at a pet store. One morning, she dropped off a Starbucks drink on the porch with a note, for the landlord. I left it there until the ice melted, then poured it into the basil plants out back. They grew meaner, but stronger. At the bistro, I raised my line cook's pay again. I fixed the oven door. I set up an automatic transfer to a savings account labeled Beach but Real. Noah noticed the change first. "You look taller," he said, stacking chairs after closing. "I stopped bending," I replied. Some nights I'd see Mom standing on the porch holding a bag of oranges like she might apologize. She never did. I didn't need her to. Liv texted me dog photos with captions like full sentences. We didn't talk about the villa or the heart she drew around my stolen passport. But once, after a long pause in our thread, she wrote, "I didn't think you'd actually skip the trip." I answered, "I didn't think you'd actually hide my passport." She replied with a single word, "Fair." A month later, she walked into the bistro, no sunglasses, just tired honesty. "Still hiring dishwashers?" she asked. I pointed at the help wanted sign by the host stand. "We are," I said. She smiled faintly. "Not yet, but soon." That was enough. Some endings don't crackle like fireworks. They settle like cooling pans. Quiet, final, useful again. I didn't get a beach vacation that year. No sunrise photos, no captions about gratitude. I got something better. Air that belonged to me. Now, when my phone buzzes at 2 a.m., it's never a crisis. It's silence. The plant on my windowsill finally perked up. I remembered to water it 3 times in a row. Mom still thinks boundaries are disrespect, says it with the same tone she once used for eat your greens, but she signs the rent checks. Liv knocks before coming upstairs. I've stopped explaining myself to people who thrive on misunderstanding. Sometimes when I wash dishes at the bistro, I think about that photo, my passport under resort hats, the drawn heart around it. It used to look like malice. Now it looks like a diagram. The heart covered my life, cute, careless, and completely wrong. It taught me a truth I'd been too polite to learn. You can care and still close a door. Hot pans look like cold pans. Handle everything carefully. And if you get burned, run it under water, learn, and never grip the same metal again. Next time there's a vacation, I'll pay for 1 ticket only, mine. When the plane lifts, I'll look out the window, not for permission or forgiveness, but because the sky is there. And I finally paid for my own seat.